watch this?
How?
Ew,
How do you watch this? Dude, I'm gonna pee my pants. Hi, you're listening to How Do You Watch This, a movie review podcast where each week we recommend a movie in the genre we love, but they don't. My name is Megan, and I love romance.
My name is Demi, and I love horror.
And hover.
So like I said, her. I do love her. And horror.
You better love me. It'd be very awkward to find out suddenly you didn't. This week I had Demi watch Fool's Gold with Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson.
Yep.
Yeah, and some from the text messages I've gotten from Demi today and yesterday, I'm a little bit concerned that you didn't like it. I don't know
why are
what's
you
giving
concerned
me that
about that.
impression. Yeah. There's been some shady comments about my next movie pick and what that might be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the common thread. I have to.
Yeah.
I figure it's cave spelunking.
Yeah.
But
yes, it is.
I also did both include moments of awful CGI.
That too. So I watched it last night with my little sister, and as we're watching it, and there's like one of the early scenes has Matthew McConaughey on a boat, kind of like wrestling with someone, and she's like, I can see the outline around Matthew McConaughey's body where the green screen is. And I didn't realize that at first. And when she said it, I was dying.
Dude,
It's very obvious.
It was so bad, which is fine. It's whatever. It's early movie, but I was like
early 2000s, but it was definitely not. Yeah, there's a lot wrong with the movie, but well,
there's no but.
There's what?
There's no but. There's a lot wrong with the movie.
No. Okay. See, here's the thing is actually, okay. First of all, I keep watching these movies with people and having just so much fun. I had so much fun watching this movie.
It is fun with people.
Yeah.
I didn't have that luxury. Just me by myself. Taking notes. So it's not as fun, I'll tell you that one.
I had so much fun. I was laughing so hard. It was a lot. And that's where my argument is going to come in, is that this was fun to watch.
Okay.
I will say, and I did go in with skepticism because, of course, the rating is low.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot that could have been done better.
Yeah.
But I have.
It's not the worst rom-com I've seen. You know, I'm like shitting on it. But it's really not the worst I've seen.
Okay. Yeah. Definitely not.
So.
It's better than Hot Frosty.
It's better than Hot Frosty. Yeah. Hot Frosty, like,
I can't understand that. At least there was like
because
a makeout.
I know, because Hot Frosty like made me laugh. This movie didn't make me laugh once, except for one scene.
Okay.
That made me laugh.
I can't wait to find out what scene it is that made you laugh. I was laughing the whole time because of the chaos that was occurring. Also because we're watching it on freaking Tubi, and it was literally every pause. Like every time someone took a breath, an ad came on.
I was like, more.
There's so many ads.
Stop.
And then they were the weirdest freaking ads
Variety.
I've ever seen. Gain is out of pocket.
I don't know if I got any Gain ones.
Oh my god, dude! There was a Gain ad where the couple is each folding laundry together, and then they pick up the sheets and they start smelling it.
Oh yeah, just smelling
it together, and it's like this weird like sexual moment. And I was like, looked at my sister, and I was like, is something wrong with me, or was that just the weirdest experience? And she's like, no, that was super weird.
I saw that commercial as well. You brought the smell.
Yes.
Because I was like in and out of the commercials. I was like, all right, commercial, I'm on my phone. But then I look up, I see this couple just smell.
Yes.
There's clothes.
So weird.
What is this?
And another thing about the commercials on Tubi is that they would start quiet and just get louder and louder. And I would turn my head away, and all of a sudden I'm being screamed at by this ad. And I felt like I was being tortured.
That's
the sound was out.
That's what happens when you are able to watch movies for free now. You suffer.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm back in the olden days when you had ad breaks.
Tubi,
No.
there was another movie you were like, fuck Tubi. I forget
Yeah,
which
it
one
was Ghost because wasn't it Ghost? Was it Ghost?
It
Ghost was
might
on
have
one
been
of the
Ghost,
free
yeah.
services.
You said there was like a roast beef commercial.
Yes, I'm sobbing, and then these freaking like roast beef commercials come up.
Oh my god, dude.
No, insane.
Yeah,
Especially
Tubi.
for Ghost, like that's just part of the cultural
Right.
vernacular at this point. You shouldn't have to watch an ad to see all of Ghost. It should just be free.
Yeah.
Like in museums, you can go
You're right.
see things. It should be like that.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree with that. But
Yeah,
you
so
know, that's what we got.
are the worst, and I hate them.
Yeah. All right. We should probably start
Yes.
this actual review. Okay.
go ahead.
So Fool's Gold is a 2008 movie, PG-13, an hour 53 minutes, which is way too long in my opinion.
Was it that long?
Yes.
Oh my god.
I felt it. I paused it. I had to finish the next day. It was an hour left. And I was like, what do you mean there was an hour left? Are you fucking kidding me? I could have sworn there would have been like 20 minutes left of the movie.
Oh, it's so bad.
Crazy. Rom-com adventure, I guess.
Yeah.
Ish. Director is Andy Tennant, who also did Princess Bride and
What?
Yeah.
What? He did like really good movie.
I know. He did that one and another one, and Hitch, which I liked. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
a long time, but
I know. I was gonna give it to you a while back, but then I found out that you'd watched it and I didn't. And now I'm at a point where I give you movies you've seen all the time, so I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's stopping.
Hitch, I don't remember the last time I've seen it too.
Yeah.
So anyway, I have a theory. I think Andy watched, Indiana Jones, National Treasure. I don't know when National Treasure came out, but
So
it gave those
National
vibes.
Treasure, I believe it was 2005. Hold on,
Okay,
let me-
it's around the same time ish.
National Treasure came out 2004.
Okay,
So right before. I know because this is the series of events that happen. National Treasure comes out, and then the knockoff Sahara comes out the year later with
Okay.
Matthew McConaughey, Penelope Cruz,
Oh.
and I believe the sidekick is the same guy from National Treasure. Anyway, it's the same exact recipe that happens for Sahara. And then a couple years later, out comes Fool's Gold, which is Matthew McConaughey on another treasure hunt. So it was very formulaic.
Okay, yeah. I feel like Andy saw that and was like, I want to do that, but a rom-com. And honestly, great idea.
Yeah.
I love that. And
Yeah.
it just, he was just missing a few things and we
Yeah.
can talk about it. But I think that's what happened. So the actual movie, it opens up at first with some text and it's talking about this treasure aboard a Spanish ship and a 1715 ship, and the treasure was referred to the Queen's dowry and it ended up sinking and no one had discovered it. So that's our preamble.
Yeah.
It wasn't even needed, to be honest,
No,
because we
it
keep
wasn't.
hearing everything about this treasure throughout the whole movie.
Exactly. We did not need the background information. But interestingly enough, there was some basis of fact to it. There was a 1715 treasure fleet, but there was no Aurelia amongst it.
Okay. I was going to ask
But
if
there
that was
was-
based on a
yeah.
real ship.
Yeah. And then there was a similar, instead of Aurelia, there was the Atoka, which
Okay.
sunk about 100 years earlier than the treasure fleet.
Mhm.
And one of the characters, Mo, is based on the guy who found
Oh.
that treasure. So we can talk
Oh.
a little bit about that later.
That's pretty
But
cool.
it's very, very, very loose threads that connect it to reality.
Yeah. So we meet our main character, Ben Finnegan. He
Mhm.
referred to as Finn. It's Matthew McConaughey in all his tanned, bronzed glory.
Oh my God, dude.
He is.
If there's nothing else you liked about this movie, I hope you enjoyed that.
I did. You can't go too wrong with that.
He was very
so.
bronzed. I'm pretty sure within a day that fake mermaid tattoo was like wiping off.
Absolutely. He was
Yeah.
like glistening the whole movie.
Yes.
So he is this treasure hunter and he's this very charming guy. He's obsessed with finding this treasure. Him and his partner, Alphonse, discover a clue while scuba diving under the water. It's a fragment of this ornate plate from the Queen Gallery. And as they're looking at it and exploring, whatever, they don't realize that their boat accidentally catches on fire. Freak accident, and it sinks behind them, which they still do not realize, which I feel like you probably would have realized. But anyway, they're distracted. And when they come back to the surface, they're like, where's her boat? So they're now stranded, but Finn does go down to the boat and he manages to grab the photo of him and his wife for now. Finn ends up showing the plate fragment to Big Bunny, who's played by Kevin Hart. And Big Bunny, it's a good villain name. I do like it.
It's the most ridiculous.
And he has a bunny. He has an actual bunny.
Does he? I didn't even see the bunny.
Yeah. It's only in the first time you see him. He has this big black and white bunny.
Oh yeah, okay, you're right.
So Finn shows the plate to him and is like, hey, we can find the treasure. This is part of it. Big Bunny's henchmen end up keeping the plate, intending on finding the treasure themselves. Basically, Finn owes Big Bunny a ton of money, over $62,000, which is crazy.
Yeah, because he was supposed to use that money to fix up his boat, and instead of fixing up his boat, he kept the money and paid off old debts. And honestly, it explains why his wife wants to divorce him.
Yeah, there's a lot about Finn that, is not good.
Yeah.
I have things to say about Finn.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Not all bad, but
oh, okay. That's surprising.
Most bad. I know. I know. It's just the charm. I think he's genuinely he means well. But yeah, he's just like an idiot. So
yeah.
So
that's how you love him, though.
Yeah, I guess. There's only so much you can love, I think.
Yeah.
So Big Bunny's henchmen go to kill Finn because they're like, we have the plate, we don't need you. So they end up taking him out to sea, chaining his feet together, throwing him into the ocean, but Finn managed to scuffle with them before falling in, and one of the guns falls in the water, so he grabs the gun and shoots the chain off his feet.
I really would be curious to know the ballistic possibilities of a gun firing underwater.
Yeah,
I find that...
I think you can. I mean, I don't know. I've seen it in movies done in movies before. So.
All the time. But I always wonder, I know it isn't the Revolutionary era where they have gunpowder anymore, so there's not the aspect.
I feel like with the gun, maybe if it's already cocked and loaded, you can get a shot. I think it would work, but I don't think you could do multi-shots.
No, I also don't
at that point the water's getting in the...
Would it break a chain on your feet?
I don't know. You should have done the research.
I know, but here's the thing. I did, but I forgot about this aspect of it. And there's almost no information on this. Okay. Yes, by the way, I just want to let all of our listeners know that, yes, guns can go off underwater. Thank you, Google.
Thank you, Google.
Yeah, so apparently they can, but, the trajectory is significantly affected. So
okay,
it
that
makes
makes
the
sense.
bullet slow down, and it falls to the bottom. So I don't think it would shoot the way it does, but what do I know?
Yeah. We'll have to test it one day ourselves, I guess.
What? No. I would never trust the two of us doing that experiment. That's a nightmare. Someone would die.
Yeah, probably to both of us somehow.
Yeah, we would find a way to make it. It would be our descent.
Our descent.
Yeah.
It would. It will take each other out somehow at the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So he gets out and he's, on top of the water. He doesn't get rescued for a fucking while. I don't know how he survived enough, but he gets rescued eventually by this group that are boating around.
Yeah.
And that day happens to be his court date for the divorce. So then we meet Tess, and this is played by Kate Hudson. And Tess has been trying to move on with her life. She's currently working as a steward on a luxury yacht owned by Nigel Honeycutt, who's played by Donald Sutherland.
Yeah.
And Finn ends up showing late to court, and according to Florida law, Tess gets everything automatically.
Yeah, which is all of nothing.
Yeah, which she technically already had because Finn doesn't have a credit score or a job. So everything that they own was under her name. So, that's another big reason why I could see her divorcing him, because he is just so focused on this treasure hunt and not focused on other things like ruining her life.
Yeah.
So you can see that Tess still has feelings for Finn, and Finn is like, I don't know why you're divorcing me. And it's like, bro, you have to have some sort of self-awareness.
Yeah. That's unreasonable, but
it's fine. He's not all there, He's just like, what do you mean?
Right.
And so Tess wants to go to school and become a teacher. And as they're walking out, he ends up telling her about the plate that they found, and is like, it has this marking and all this. And Tess does get excited. She's like, oh my God, this might be something. But then she's also like, I can't trust him because he doesn't have the plate. And she's like, I can't trust you.
Right.
So she's like, fuck it, whatever. I'm going to sell the boat. And he's like, oh, actually. And then she ends up taking a
this
club.
This is wild. Yeah.
From this old man sitting nearby and hits the fuck out of Finn's head and knocks him out.
The amount of times this man takes a hit to the head, I told my sister he'd be dead.
Girl.
By the end of the movie?
I'm like, he's an android.
There's no way anyone could take that many hits. Yes. There is absolutely no way that he would survive that. No wonder he's making horrible choices. If he takes hits to the head as much as we saw in this one day period.
Yeah. There's something wrong with him for sure. Yeah, so she hits him. He's knocked out. And then she gives the murder weapon back to the old man. So if she would have killed him, she would have just given it to this poor old man. Anyway, he's fine. He's invincible.
It's Florida, dude.
It's Florida. So Tess is trying to leave the dock, like the yacht. She's trying to convince Nigel to leave the dock because she fears that once Finn hears about Nigel and his wealth, he's going to try and get the funding for this expedition. She's like, I do not want to see this man. We can't do this. But Nigel's hanging around waiting for his daughter, Gemma. And Gemma is this ditzy, spoiled, typical daughter of a millionaire. She just wants to have fun with daddy's money, which is, relatable.
Who wouldn't,
Yeah. So they seem to have an strained relationship. She's just kind of like, daddy, I'm going to hang out with my friends. And he's like, okay. And so she goes on a little boat to go hang with her friends. Her hat flies off, and Finn's on the way to the yacht, and he ends up catching the hat.
God,
dramatically somehow. It's really impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is.
But he just pretty much crashes into the water. He hurts himself. He gets pulled onto the yacht. Yeah. Luckily for him, it's all part of the plan.
Yeah.
So he's pulled onto the yacht. Of course, Gemma's like, oh my God, you're so cool. And he gets invited to dinner with her and Nigel.
Yep.
Tess freaks out after seeing him there.
That's the most unreasonable reaction you could ever see. It was unbelievable.
She brings out the food and just starts throwing it to everyone. And she's like, here's your dinner here. And I'm like, dude, this is your manager.
Like, this is your job. They can still fire you.
Absolutely. But she relaxes after a bit. Later that night, Finn convinces Nigel, of course, to fund the search for this queen's dowry.
Well, all of a sudden now, Kate Hudson's on board, which is
she's like
out of nowhere. Yeah,
she's like, oh yeah, it's cool. Yeah. She just gave in. It's fine.
Yeah,
and so Nigel's like, yeah, I'm down. It's historically important and sounds cool.
And he has $700 million his name or something. So.
Right, and Gemma's interested, so he's like, oh okay.
Yeah.
So Tess is, like you said, she's suddenly cool with it. Yeah. She tries to resist a little bit, but you can tell that, they have this shared passion for adventure. And so that's what kind of brings them together.
Do you think they have chemistry together?
I feel like yes and no. I feel like they do, but I think the script just didn't show that.
I have to agree. I think that those two, especially, have you ever seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
No.
Okay. So if you watch that, they definitely have chemistry together.
Yeah.
Demi, I really wanted to make Demi watch that for her next movie, and she said she needed a break from these two. And I am shocked. But How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, not How to Lose 10 Guys in a Day.
That's the sequel.
They definitely have chemistry, and I think they work well together, but I do think that the script fails them a lot in this movie.
It's funny because apparently, this might be a fact you have, but Kate Hudson won a Razzie for her performance in this movie.
Well, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, wow. So I do think the script just didn't work for her, especially her character. For me, I was like, this is bad. Matthew McConaughey's wasn't bad, but I think it was just Matthew McConaughey being Matthew McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey can get away with a lot of things, so.
He's just being a cartoon character.
I'm
like, I guess
just
that's
a
fine.
surfer dude.
And
so many of his movies in the mid 2000s, it's just
he just makes it work, and it's like, okay, there's not much substance there, I guess.
Exactly. There's also a similar. Did you ever see Failure to Launch?
No.
He's in so many rom-coms. You're about to get a lot of McConaughey in
Yeah.
your life because I'm on a kick now. But he's also in Failure to Launch. Very similar, immature guy who hasn't grown up yet. Vibes.
Yeah. I think he's just too good at that. It's funny because watching him. Did you ever watch True Detective?
It's on my list, but no.
Okay. It's such an opposite role for him. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But he's just a good actor, I think.
He is. So, he's a very good actor, and he's got a, he's
what?
He's got it going on,
Oh yeah. No, he's a good looking guy. Pretty handsome. Anyway, their chemistry wasn't there in the movie, but I do believe they have chemistry.
Yeah.
So they end up encountering another group that's also looking for the treasure. This group is led by Mo, who you brought up earlier. And Mo has a strained relationship with Finn. Apparently he was like his old mentor in a way. And,
they end up falling out. Yeah.
So this scene... This is my deleted for a reason. I had to pick it.
Yeah.
It's because it was absurd, but it made me laugh.
This is the one that made you laugh?
It's not the scene that made me laugh, out loud, but it just made me are you like, wow, okay.
This
impressive.
It is unbelievable. Yeah.
So, I don't even want to start. So the other group has a grid, and they're setting explosions because they're searching for this area. They believe this area would have clues or evidence of the dowry. So then Finn goes underwater to sabotage the grid, and he's doing that. And then some of the explosions end up going off, and one of them just blows him up out of the water, and he flies onto their boat, and he's like fine. And I'm like, you're telling me he's fine after this, but after the hat catch, he was suddenly like on death's door. He picks and chooses his battles, but this I had to delete because it was just a little too crazy for me. But
well, not to mention the sword goes flying and lands between Gemma's legs.
Yes, that's
like, what? That was so ridiculous. And then
they
it
showed
cuts
that
a commercial.
Twice. Yeah. They're like, hey, check out her really well waxed bikini.
Right, exactly. Poor actress.
So it's fine. She looked good.
Yeah.
So that's my deleted scene.
Yeah,
but
that's a good reason. I don't wonder if maybe he hammed it. There were certain choices that were made that I feel like they could have fleshed out more in the movie. Mm-hmm. Was he hamming it up a little bit, his injury with the hat, because he was trying to get an in on there? They could have done that and kind of played it like, oh, he's faking a little bit, but you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know based on how the filming was done and the scenes. Right. And similarly, things with his past relationships where I feel like you could have had more subtleties that they didn't really play into. Yeah.
There was a lot that it was just very surface level. Mm-hmm. And I think Yeah, nothing was too deep. It was just like,
Yeah.
here's everything.
Yeah.
We're not
very surface
digging
level.
into, we're not digging into all the details. So the scene that made me laugh, I don't remember when it is. It actually might have been right before this. It's so stupid, but it's when they're all hanging out together and his partner's there too. And Nigel's like, oh, have whatever you want. We have cigars. We have this and this. And his partner's like, do you have prostitutes? And I don't know why that made me laugh. Because everyone's like, what? And I couldn't tell if he was like fully joking about that or not.
Right. It was
But
so weird. Also,
that joke made me laugh.
The whole Alphonse character made no sense.
No, and then he was like gone halfway through, kind of. And I was like, where is this man?
It really was just so segmented. It made no sense at all.
No.
And then he kept being referred to as the Ukrainian. And I was like, you can't do that. What do you mean?
I don't know if they just wanted a quirky sidekick.
Yeah.
At that point, that's just Gemma.
There's a lot of quirk. There's a lot of quirk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was just a lot of weird characters in this movie. So after that scene, a lot of the movie is just them going to different locations.
Yeah.
And finding shit out. But it was just so boring. I'm not even gonna go
Okay, that's fair. Well,
it's just a lot of that. So
I can't
like,
even
we
remember
found
it.
they were on a beach at one point. They're like, here's a
just
diary.
Like
Here's like a note.
Yeah. Little like montagey sort of moments.
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
like
nothing
it's like
of
what
substance.
what you would get from these type of treasure hunting movies, but not done well. I think the director just didn't have as much knowledge in how to make that successful, because if it's not done successfully, it's boring.
I will say that I agree completely. And one of the things that I got so lost when they were explaining to the guy on the yacht, and they're trying to explain their whole backstory and the how they were coming to their understanding. I was completely lost. I was like, I am not following this story at all.
Yeah, because it was like, oh, the one guy knew where the boat was, but then he was found by himself and he lied about where it was and all this. And it's like, who?
What?
Who is that man?
I was just so beyond confused about what they were explaining. They did not do a good job with that. Then that goes down to the script as well. The rating just wasn't there.
It was, I blame the script, because I feel like the actors were fine. And a lot of them are good actors, but it was
minus one aspect. Not a single well done accent in this movie.
Oh yeah. It felt, I don't know what people were doing in this movie. They were just hanging out, I guess. I don't know what was going on the set of this movie.
Even what's his name? Donald
Sutherland.
Even his British accent, he had just finished, like, he had done freaking Pride and Prejudice a couple years earlier. Even his accent was horrible. I think he forgot how British people talked. He's Canadian. It was coming across as someone who doesn't have a natural British accent. Everything was bad.
Yeah, I don't know if people were just maybe drinking on set. I don't know.
Maybe. But oh my God, Mo's accent, I was like, I don't think there's a single person on earth who talks the way Mo's talking. I can't understand what he's trying to do there. It was so bad. I was like, is he supposed to be Cajun? Like, is he supposed to...
Yeah, I don't know what was coming out of Mo's mouth. Luckily, he wasn't in the movie much, but I was like...
Exactly.
Where are all these people from?
So,
it is Florida, so I guess.
The Ukrainian guy's accent was so undecipherable. I had to turn on subtitles at that point. I was like, okay, I don't know what you're saying. All right. But I do have to say, since I mentioned Donald Sutherland, he has such a distinctive face. He just has such like, something about his eyeballs are like really distinctive. And
he just looks evil all the time.
Right. So then I scrolled through his old pictures on IMDb because I was like, what did he look like as a young man? Dude, I was like, I would.
Oh,
hold on. Let me get a picture for you. Donald Sutherland in Kelly's Heroes. I would.
At least,
Look at him with his little flight suit.
yeah. He's got this face where I'm like, I dig it. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something
I'm
about
like,
him.
I've been sold. I'm looking through all those pictures now, and I'm like, you know what? Yeah,
I get
there's
it.
something weird. You're a little off, and I'm okay with it now.
I'm okay
like-
with a little off.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, but also I like strange.
Yeah, the only young I remember him in is in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and he has this foul mustache.
Oh
Foul.
God.
And listen, not all mustaches are bad, but this was
No,
not
Oh.
it.
dude. Yeah, there's some that are like pretty rough. I used to not like mustaches, and then I will correct that. I used to think of mustaches as only something a dad could have because my dad has a mustache.
Mhm.
But then I saw Top Gun 2 and I was like, all right.
Yes.
That's all right. Yeah.
So
we can do a
it's-
mustache.
Yeah, some people can work it. It's
Yep.
it's the way it has to grow in a certain way. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
There's
it's
an
the
art to
styling
it.
Too.
Yeah.
There's a styling to it.
There's an art form. But when it works,
Yeah.
it works.
It works. Yes.
It works.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry.
Our little tangent. Anyway,
Yeah.
a bunch of boring fucking exploring.
Yeah.
By this point, Tess ends up discovering how much Finn owes to Big Bunny because Big Bunny
Mhm.
beat the shit out of him when Finn went back to him to try and talk to him a bit.
Yeah. I
They
don't know what he thought was going to happen there. Someone tried to freaking murder you. Why
I
would you
don't
go
know.
being like, hey again?
Yeah, it's like, bro. He was like, I'm not actually dead. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, I'll actually kill you now.
Yeah,
And Big Bunny
exactly.
now has this really tough guy now. He doesn't have the
Oh,
dumb
yeah.
henchman. This guy
Mhm.
means business.
Yeah, he kills one of his henchmen.
Yeah.
Well, the dummy guy kills one of his henchmen, and I was like, "Is he really dead? Did he just kill that dude?"
I was
It was-
surprised. too.
yeah.
I was like, whoa, okay. I didn't think anyone was going to die in this movie, for real.
No, it was so random.
But it showed he was serious.
Yeah, and it's not the last death apparently.
So Tess and Finn, like I said, they find more information and it leads them to this abandoned church.
Yeah.
And at this
Not
point,
abandoned, dude. It's not abandoned.
yeah, not abandoned.
There's a priest in the front, and because I want to talk about that in a second.
Not abandoned. I don't know why I said
No.
abandoned.
No, it's okay.
Like an older church. It's
Yeah.
an old church.
Yeah.
And they're in the basement cellar area and they find out another big clue and then they just end up doing it.
Yeah.
The
As one
basement of
does,
this
you
church, as
know?
one does. And afterwards they're looking at the graves outside and end up finding a key location.
Mm-hmm.
There's Tess happens to trip over a rock and Finn
Yeah.
tries to throw it away and
Which
it
was
says
cute.
Aurelia, which was cute, and it says Aurelia on the bottom. She's like, wait. It's
Yeah.
like, oh wow, how convenient. I love that for you guys. So cool.
But then they proceed to dig up the ground, and I just envisioned, like, when they got there was a priest, and they were like, "Hey, can we look at look through your records?" Could you imagine being that priest coming back in the morning and there's a gigantic hole in your graveyard because these two white people came?
Yeah. And they had sex in your basement.
The insects in your basement. Horrible.
Poor priest.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're like, fuck yeah, we got stuff.
Yeah.
Then Big Bunny and his men show up. They were following them the whole time. They end up attacking and they steal this diary that they found there. They end up taking Tess hostage. Finn, another fucking event for Finn. He's on the bike.
No.
He ends up riding off a cliff. The bike
God.
explodes. He survives. He lands in the water.
Somehow. I honestly
Somehow.
don't know how.
It's incredible how often he's surviving these.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense how he survived that one.
No. So Tess thinks he's dead. Everyone
Right.
would.
Right.
So at this point, Finn ends up turning to Mo to try and help him rescue Tess
Mm-hmm.
and recover the treasure together. They end up tracking Big Bunny to this remote island. Big Bunny's goon force
Yeah.
end up finding this little cavern cave, and they throw Tess in there with a rope. They're like, hey, dig around in there. You got like a minute before the wave's gonna come in and drown you. Cool, a minute, thanks.
Dude, it literally the most insane expectations ever.
Yeah.
They have access to scuba gear and they could go in a reasonable way. It makes no sense.
No. So she's freaking out, of course. And she ends up going underwater to try and save herself. But then she finds the whole treasure under there. So they were right. It was there. But then she ties the rope to something to prevent the waves from washing her. And
she's trying to survive when the blowhole explodes.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to die, I guess.
The blowhole explodes and coins fly out. So the goons are like, what? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And call in Big Bunny. Yeah. So everyone's being at the island.
Yeah.
So this is the big final event. Everyone's showing up to the same place. This is like my memorable moment, just this whole end sequence.
Yeah.
Because it's really a lot.
Yeah.
There's like underwater fighting. There's shooting.
God. Yes.
There's Big Bunny has his plane. He ends up taking Tess again. And they aboard the seaplane. Finn gets on Gemma's jet ski that she's riding and leaps onto the plane's pontoon. And as it's taking off,
I feel like you were so proud of yourself for getting the name of that.
I had to look that up.
Pontoon.
It's the plane leg.
Google your Google search. What is the plane's leg called?
The seaplane leg.
Yeah.
So the plane's taking off. Finn is on this pontoon. He manages to hold on, and then Big Bunny comes out and tries to shoot Finn. Tess ends up pushing Big Bunny off the plane to his death. And Finn gets inside the plane. At this point, they're like super panicked about dying. I was like, isn't this a seaplane? Isn't it meant to land on water?
I waffled back and forth between that, where I was part of me was like, oh, it's not gonna be that bad. But then with all the plane crashes that have been occurring in the world lately, I was like, you know what? There was that plane in fucking South Korea the other day that didn't have its legs come down and it exploded on touchdown and everyone died in it. And I was like, you know what?
It's fair. It's fair.
When you're going that fast, water acts like ground. So I could see them crashing and dying too.
I feel like I would have just flown it as low as possible and jumped off.
And then jumped out, and then jumped out, and then jumped out. Yeah.
I mean, Finn can survive anything at this point. Tess, I don't know.
No, she's a little bit risky.
She's more risky. I get
do
that.
Feel like there would be some way. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but just fly it until you're like, it's
it slows down.
Yeah, it's just, it's like a car. The brakes stop working. You just wait for it to slow down and stop.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know. They try to make it super dramatic. And I was like, this isn't dramatic at all. But then they landed on the water and it does flip forward. And I was like,
it does crash in a pretty dramatic way.
Oh,
they should have died in that crash. But
died,
did they? No.
Nope, they were fine. No scratches on them.
No,
they're good. And Finn's like, oh, marry me. I've changed. And she's like, you haven't, but I will. And I was like,
right. That one, definitely red flag there. Red flag for sure. I was like, no, you can't. You actually can't because he's not different. But
I would have, at best, given him another chance.
Yeah.
But not marry.
Immediately remarry.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already shown he can't be trusted with money. You need to keep those things separate. Unless he had an amazing job and he had benefits.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
He's just, I don't know. He's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Which, is good, but also it's not like she has a banging job either. So
no, she's a stewardess right now, or a steward, excuse me, a steward on a boat, not making bank. Although they're about to, because they know where this treasure is. So
yeah, which it's funny because well, and so
I know what you're gonna say.
So they end up getting the Queen's dowry and displaying it in Moe's newly renamed Fitch Finnegan Maritime Museum, which is really nice. I would have taken the treasure and run. That's what I thought they were going to do. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, you probably should bring that to a museum.
Right. That's the ethical thing to do. Although they probably charge money for entry. So
yeah. So there has to be some sort of money coming from this.
I mean, they're besties with a millionaire now, so they're not gonna have problems.
That's true. You're right. So Tess and Finn are together now, and Tess is pregnant as fuck at the end. And I was like, well, I guess she's attached to him whether she wants it or not.
For the next 18 years, they're stuck together.
Yep. Ish. At least. So that's how the movie ends.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a lot. I thought you were gonna mention the fact that there was this whole thing about the fact that Big Bunny didn't own the treasure because it wasn't on his island. Except in the end, it was in a cave that was on the island. So technically it was his treasure and they kind of stole it from him, but they also murdered him to get it at the same time. It does bring up
you're right.
some interesting ethics around treasure hunting. I did bring some curiosity there. I'm not really sure what the done thing is, but
yeah, they were definitely acting more like pirates than I think actual treasure hunters. I don't think treasure hunters act this way, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't really know. Treasure hunting is so romanticized and it is such a fun concept. National Treasure did such a good job with it. Yeah. National Treasure with more romance than what we had, more than a subplot, which would have been amazing. But
yeah.
It had potential. It just
that's why I felt like the idea was cool, but I think that whole portion just wasn't done. And also the romance wasn't done well. There wasn't a lot of build up, you know, it was just Finn just hanging out and Tess being like, well, I guess he's not that bad. And it's like,
right. I agree. I feel like there should have been more to it. They should have had him expressing. They almost showed some regret for him at the beginning, but I feel like there should have been more remorse. There should have been more of this really sparkling chemistry shown off. And I think that there's other tie-ins. There's random loose ends. So the group that picked him up when he was floundering, I thought that we were going to end up finding out Gemma was part of that little yachting group.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a fun little tie-in. Instead, it's just like, it's just a random group and the lady flashes him for some reason. And they drink beer and whatever.
Florida.
Yeah. So that is interesting. They try so hard to be comedic. So in the scene where they're making out, they're bumping against the walls and her head keeps knocking into shit. And I'm like, more head trauma. Come on.
And I'm like, I thought he was good at sex.
Right,
Shouldn't
exactly.
he be good with that?
Well, it might not be that he is the best at sex. It's just that they have the most fireworks going off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't have finesse, but he has.
Well, she said he's
gumption.
good. He's good at 3 things.
Yep.
And I forget what the other things are.
So the other things are treasure hunting and getting money for treasure hunting. And
one other thing she doesn't want to say. So
yeah. Which she said that to 2 characters you didn't mention who
the gays that's in every rom-com.
Yeah. So it is in every rom-com. And is it stereotypical? Like, is it kind of like a stereotypical concept? Yeah, but I did still really enjoy the characters.
I did like them. They were this cute couple. Chefs.
Yeah, they were more fun than most couples because at least they love each other and they kept saying like, thank God for you and like being really sassy, which is cute. And which brings me to one of my things where I know that you're not the biggest fan of this movie, but I think this review might change your mind. This is from movieguide.org.
Okay.
And they really raked it through the coals. And here's the final lines of one of the paragraphs. Finally, the story's somewhat mixed pagan worldview, sexual elements, foul language, and 2 glorified homosexual characters will drive away people of faith and values. This critique kept complaining about how there are 2 gay people who say things like, thank God for our relationship and things like that. They were complaining so much about the positive viewpoint of homosexuals. I was like, how did you get a .org? Someone should remove that from you. How dare you? I was so upset. And I saw, listen, for some reason, Christian parents have a lot of websites where they review movies because I pulled up 3 different movie review websites and they all ranked it based on how closely this aligned with faith. It did not do well on any. However, this was the only one that was homophobic And I was very surprised.
I feel like now we're gonna have to look at these reviews for every movie.
There's something called The Dove, and it's about, how there's one half of the panel is all of the negative things it could have, like drugs, sex, violence, things like that, and on the right it's like faith and alignment with religion and stuff.
Oh my,
it's wild.
That's so psycho. I can't imagine they can't be reviewing horror on those.
Ooh, I wonder if they do. That would be
no way.
I wonder if The Descent is on there. Hold on. Oh, it is not approved. It's got a negative 12 rating. There's no faith or integrity.
Oh man.
Yeah. Meanwhile, this one got a -2, so not as
wow.
bad.
Wow. -2. How could it go into negatives? Like, what?
Well, it's just really
rating
sinful.
system is that?
Yeah.
Imagine if we were rating it to the negatives. Like,
oh my god, we
would
should
never end.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't. That's the thing. You would start being like -1,000.
Yeah, which is it's too much power. We can't.
Exactly. We need a limit.
Yeah. God. Okay. So I'll do the rest of my review.
Yes, please.
Main characters, I'd smash.
Yep. If you didn't, I would be worried.
Like honestly, I said, Finn, he has issues. I don't think I'd marry him again. But
marry him. Yep.
Not marrying. And
just
he is, I feel like he is committed. I think he really loves Tess, and he is very kind. He's very kind in the movie. So, he has some good qualities. And he's hot. So when it comes down to it.
Absolutely. Yep.
Side character, I did the dad, and I said other. Because I was like, maybe. It depends. How much are we drinking on his yacht,
What has he purchased for me before
Yeah,
this?
what has he gotten me?
Listen, I already said, he got, I might,
I'd consider.
I might. Oh, can I take a break for a moment and just say that one of the things that was very strange to me, and I'm all about body positivity and whatever, but Gemma's outfits when she is on a boat having dinner with just her dad, and she is essentially in the most low-cut dress I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, girl, what are you doing?
She did at one point have these jammies with the fluffy slippers, and that was the most covered I think she
it was
ever
the
was
whole time.
But she had very interesting attire choices. And I guess that's just what rich people wear in Florida in 2008.
Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Fall in love, I said 6. It's possible. He's very charming.
I thought you would say.
Yeah, he's charming. I think it would depend on how much I want to give up on my dreams.
Yeah.
And deal with a lot with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so. You would.
But, if I'm passionate about treasure hunting too.
No, that's the thing. They hint that she doesn't actually want to be a teacher. She likes the treasure hunting better. They don't do a good job at hinting at it, but they hint at it.
Yeah, so I could see that being a positive.
Yeah.
I would not recommend the movie.
Okay.
And I gave it a 2.
A 2. All right. I was a little worried you'd go lower than that. I was leaning more towards like 3. I almost said 3.5, and then I was reflecting more, and I was like, okay, I won't give it a 3.5. But I did just have a lot of fun with it. I don't think it's a good movie.
No, I was like, I don't want to watch this movie again. And if you were like, hey, let's watch Fool's Gold, I'd be like, no. So I'm like, it has to be less than a 3. But I was like, it's not the worst I've ever seen. It's really not.
I would watch it again because I enjoyed watching it with someone. It's funny. It was a funny experience, and I had a fun time watching it. I think it's a good bad movie. In the way that we need more good bad movies. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't watch it by yourself. Because then you realize how boring it is, and you're like, it's a long movie.
Yeah. That also does bring up, I think, a very interesting argument with our movies, where it's like, how do you watch it alone versus watching it with a friend? It does change it. It changes it a lot.
I'd say so. I mean, I probably still would have rated it low, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
You might have had more fun.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah, stupid
like I
Bray
said,
wouldn't watch it with you.
No, and it's probably good that he didn't because
Yeah. Well,
I can't even imagine the comments.
no, I'm sure.
I wouldn't have been able to watch the movie.
Between his comments and the ads, that would be too much.
Oh God, yes, that's too much to handle. Yeah. So if you have any other cool facts,
yeah, there was nothing online aside from the ones that I already mentioned. I did look up, and it was like, fun fact: Kevin Hart didn't know how to say the word facade, and he said it as facade. And it's like, is that fun?
I was like, is this one of his first movies? Because it just felt like it could have been. And I didn't realize how many freaking movies he was in.
Oh my God.
Or he is in.
And
And I'm like, oh my God, he's been around for a while. And I was just like, I'm like, I don't remember him in a lot of these movies.
No.
Like the older ones.
Yeah,
but
it must have been before. It was definitely before he got super popular. I think he got super popular in like 2011, 2012 time.
Right. Yep.
And so this was like I think this was a little bit before he was kind of taking off.
Yeah. I think so. So, okay. Well, that was Fool's Gold. And
that was Fool's Gold.
I have
movie for me. Great. I feel like I'm just always watching horror movies.
Crazy. So I've been trying to think of when to give you this movie. And when you told me about the movie you wanted to give me, I was like, this is perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's called The Substance.
No, I've heard of like 5 horror movies, so I don't know why you say it. I wonder if you've heard of it.
It's because it's new, and there's been a lot of talk about it, and it won an award recently. So that is why I asked. I'm
scared. I feel like new ones, old ones, at least I can be like, yeah, I'm not scared.
I will say this has no jump scare factor to it.
Okay, better.
It's scary in other ways, but not in like you're gonna piss your pants type of way.
Okay.
So The Substance. It is. It has Demi Moore. So
okay, another Demi Moore one. Yeah, of course. We're required to obligation based on your name.
Obligated to love Demi Moore. So this movie is about our main character named Elizabeth Sparkle.
Ooh,
and
nice
she
name.
she's a renowned aerobics show star. And on her 50th birthday, her boss fires her because she's getting too old.
Oh, this sounds a lot like Black Swan.
It's got some vibes. And she is distressed about it, obviously. And she ends up hearing about this thing called the substance. And the substance promises to transform you into the enhanced version of yourself. And that's all I'll say about the movie.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Enjoy.
Doesn't sound as bad. Doesn't sound as bad. Maybe.
So it's horror sci-fi. I will say there's like body horror aspects to it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm curious what you'll think of it.
Okay. I mean, I can personally say I would probably never take something into my body that was called the substance.
Oh, yeah. When you see the process, I'd be like, fuck no.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah, I'm good. I don't need something like strange to happen to me. That's okay. I'm good.
I'll pass. But, you know, I guess if you're in Hollywood and you are
true.
used to being famous and popular and a star, and then you reach a point where you're not, you got to take some risks. I mean, look at celebrities now. They do all kinds of Ozempic, Botox, shit to their face. And
Yep.
got to stay young. Got to stay relevant.
Listen, just stay ugly, stay interesting.
Stay ugly, quote Megan. That was true though. Like you don't see any freaking different faces anymore. Everyone looks
like I'm saying, what if Donald Sutherland had gotten his eyes fixed with some thing? We wouldn't know him. You know what I mean? Be weird.
There's the sexiness.
Like, ooh, what if his whole face was tightened up? You would be like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Don, you know?
Yep, you're so right about that.
Your weirdness is what makes you beautiful. That's what One Direction said, right?
You're weird is what's you're beautiful. I think that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Oh God. R.I.P.
Yep.
to the One Direction member.
Yeah. Oh, way to bring it down. Way to go from something funny to something sad. All right. Well, we're at it. Donald Sutherland's dead too. So
R.I.P.
R.I.P. to him as well. Oh God.
Oh
All right.
God. Okay.
Okay.
Close off.
Thanks for listening to How Do You Watch This. You can find us on Instagram at How Do You Watch This and TikTok for however much longer we have it at How Do You Watch, or email us at howdoyouwatchthis@gmail.com. If you like the show, support us by giving us a review or recommending to a friend. Thank you and goodbye.
See you later.